This is a Hope 103.2 podcast.
People often say IVF is taking the control away from God, but you realise how out of control we are when you're in the middle of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday, the pod that fearlessly chats about all things affecting us ladies who are 40 plus fabulous.
Well, and the guys that want to know what we think.
Well, them too. I'm Janet Evans, advertising creative.
And I'm Jenny Woodhouse, semi-retired social worker.
In other words, you're busier than ever. We're J&J and we're super thrilled you're with us for She Wasn't Born Yesterday. Gorgeous. Well, we all know it has its highs and lows, its heartaches, its heartfulness. But having a family is one of the most sort of basic, fundamental human experiences, isn't it?
It is indeed.
You know, whether it's yours or someone else's.
Yep.
But when you get married, if you're anything like me, you just kind of assume that one day you'll get pregnant and have kids, have
It's
a baby.
usually on the to-do list.
Yeah, not always. No, not everybody wants that.
Not everybody, but usually.
But a lot of people do, or you just kind of assume that, you know, whether you want to or not, you're going to have kids. But what if you really, really, really want kids and discover, for whatever reason, you can't conceive?
That would be heartbreaking, I imagine.
It would be very hard. So our guest today is the 40 plus very fabulous Sammi Betbeater. Married to Guy and mum to a gorgeous 4.5-year-old who's going on 24.5. Sammi, welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of a tentative response there. I don't blame you. But we are looking forward to chatting with you about some of the pros and cons of IVF, which in vitro fertilization, which has been around for about, would you believe, 47 years now? So
That's
it's 40.
crazy.
It is 40 plus
That's
fabulous
amazing.
too. Which I didn't realise. It's a very long time. And if you're wondering, IVF actually involves eggs being fertilised with sperm outside of the body. And once the eggs are fertilised and turn into embryos, they're placed inside the uterus to grow.
Oh, simple.
Which is in the woman. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah.
So, but Sammi, we would actually love to hear your story. What was it like for you growing up? To sort of backtrack, did you come from a big family, have lots of siblings?
Yeah, so I came from a pretty large family. I'm the second out of 4 girls.
Wow.
Okay.
How many bathrooms did you have?
1.
How many fights did you have?
And did you always think or just imagine that one day you would be a mum? Is that something that entered your consciousness?
Yeah, I always thought I would be a mum, and I had no idea that it might ever not be that simple. So I always wanted to have a large family.
Really? You wanted to have a large
yeah.
family? Like,
Yep.
did you actually think about how big you wanted the family to be, or?
No, not really. Just like I grew up in a large family, so that's what I knew. And
It's normal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, indeed.
And then you met and married the gorgeous Guy. Did you both feel the same way about having kids and how many and all of that sort of thing? Is it something you talked about?
yeah, we both wanted to have children, and I guess we talked about it in marriage preparation, and we both said 2 or 3 when we filled in the questionnaire that you filled
Really?
in.
2 or 3. Okay.
Well, I can't remember who said 2 and who said 3. But
Right. At least it wasn't like 10 and 0 or something like that. That could have been a problem.
Yeah, that could have been a problem.
How long did you guys try to conceive after you got married, and what was that journey like?
Yeah, so in our first year of marriage, I went off contraception, and then it was a couple of years that we realised there was something up because it wasn't happening. And about 7 years after that, we went to see a fertility specialist and have some tests done. And during that time, we found out that it was medically impossible for us to conceive without medical intervention. So they said there was a possible 1% chance that we could conceive naturally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And of course, we always believe that God can do the impossible, but there was no guarantee that he would. And so we chose to pursue IVF, and particularly ICSI, which is like the next level where they inject the sperm directly into the egg. So it's called ICSI, or intercytoplasmic sperm injection.
Oh, wow.
So that's the next level. What does the...
So like in normal IVF, they put the sperm and the egg into a dish, and just wait and see, like let it go in itself.
Right.
And then with ICSI, they take the sperm individually and use a needle to put it inside the egg and then wait and see what happens.
Wow, okay. And so is that meant to be more effective because it's actually already inside you and it's going straight into the egg?
Well, it's not always, but sometimes the sperm won't actually go in by itself. So if there's something that stops, like, so there was anti-sperm antibodies that would stop the sperm going into the egg. So that's why they put it.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
okay,
interesting.
thank you.
Is that a relatively new idea or?
No, it's been around a lot. Yeah.
So so let's go back to you and to Guy. So it was 7 years down the track and you thought, what, we'll take ourselves off and get some testing, and then once that result comes back, then how do you just know that IVF is the next option? Where did you get to from there?
Yeah, so I guess we saw our fertility specialist was at an IVF clinic, and she said the only way you'll be able to have children is to use IVF. And so we thought about it and prayed about it and said, okay, well, we really want to have children.
So what was the actual medical reason why you couldn't naturally conceive?
Yeah, so we found out in the testing that my husband had anti-sperm antibodies, which means that the sperm just won't be able to penetrate the egg. So that's why there's no natural way it can go in.
But it sounds like it took you quite some time to kind of investigate. Did you just sort of think, oh, well, you know, other people around you were having similar problems, or was there a particular reason you waited so long?
Not really. Other people around us were getting pregnant and having children, and our peers were moving on. And I guess we wanted to trust God that this can happen. And my husband's a lot more, let's wait and see, than I am.
Yeah.
And then eventually I saw a psychologist and she said, well, you need to go and get checked out and see what's happening. And we did that. And
That's interesting. So a psychologist. Why a psychologist?
Well, I guess like there was like just lots of issues going on with me wanting to be a mum, not being a mum, and so
Were there things that people said that when it had been, you know, you'd been married for quite a number of years and people were realising, well, you're not pregnant. Were there things that people said that were particularly unhelpful to you at the time? And were there things that people said and did that were particularly helpful to you at the time?
Yeah, there was both. There was lots of unhelpfulness, just probably not on purpose, but just people don't know what to say often.
Yeah.
There's, why don't you just adopt, or just relax and it'll happen. Those sorts of well-meaning things that aren't that helpful. And then mostly the most helpful thing was to listen, or Christians offering to pray.
Yep.
So what made you decide to do IVF?
Yeah, just so that we could, I think they said there was a 35% chance if we did the IVF or the ICSI, and we thought, well, we will try and see.
Right. Was it a hard decision to make, or did you find it a fairly easy decision to make because actually we want to have kids and this is the way to do it?
Yeah, I think that it was because we wanted to have kids and that was the only way it seemed that it would happen. So it was a hard decision, but it was the only decision unless we were willing to say, well, we'll just not do anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
And do they point out to you like the chances, like the 30% right up front and explain to you, look, this is the situation, and you were prepared obviously to go that way? And how does it actually work?
They do point out usually when you first talk with the fertility specialist, they will tell you the chances, and they'll talk about there's different protocols you can try. It's probably changed again in the last 5 years that I don't even know about. But when we first did IVF was back in 2009, so that was a long time ago now. But it's a bit different for everyone, but usually they do tests beforehand. There's hormone tests, semen analysis, ultrasounds. And then when they say go ahead, you ring the clinic the day you get your period as a woman, and you go in and have blood tests, and they check your hormone levels, and then they either say come back for another blood test or you can start taking the hormones.
Right.
And then you take the hormone injections, which is usually needles that you put into your stomach. And then you have regular monitoring, scans every couple of days, sometimes every day, blood tests. And when they see from the scans that the eggs are growing and at the right size, you have one final big needle. And then after that, you wait 36 hours and you go in and they collect all the eggs. So
Right.
Oh, wow.
the big final needle is to make the eggs mature and release, and then they swoop in and collect them before that happens.
Okay.
So, and then at the same time, they retrieve the sperm either from a sample or if there's problems where they need to medically go in and retrieve it, they do that. And then they'll fertilize the eggs, and 3 to 5 days after that, there'll be an embryo transfer or they'll freeze the embryos.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
But so just being a fertilised egg doesn't mean that it's going to grow, though. Is that what
No,
the
it might.
issue is?
So it needs to keep dividing and growing, and then even after they put it back in, doesn't mean it's going to keep growing either. So
How long between when they go in and get the eggs and fertilise them to when they might actually put the egg back in so that it can grow inside you? What's the time frame there?
yeah, it's different clinic to clinic and person to person, but it's usually about 3 to 5 days after you've had the eggs taken out.
Okay, so I'm
right.
just thinking through all of this is quite a long period of time where you're going through all these medical procedures and concentrating so much on your own body and on this, what's happening in my body and what's happening. Was the impact on you, like emotionally, I guess, at that time, through those waiting, what's going to happen next, how long will it take?
Yeah, the waiting's probably the hardest because, like, before that you've been doing the injections every day and you've had control, and then you get to that point and you're just out of control completely.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay.
you're just waiting. And then after they do put the embryo back inside, then you have to wait another 2 weeks
Another 2 weeks.
to find out whether it has implanted or not. So there's a lot of waiting.
There's a lot of waiting. That's a lot of waiting.
hard.
Who were the people around you at the time that were supportive and helpful, and what were they doing to be helpful to you?
Yeah, so when we first started, we didn't share with everybody, but we did share with our Bible study group at church and with our family, and they were helpful, supportive. Our Bible study would pray for us. I also went on to a forum with other people undergoing IVF at the same time, which was really helpful because they were having similar experience.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And what about Guy? Was it the same kind of emotional kind of holding your breath while you're waiting, or was he more pragmatic, or how did he react?
Well, he's a lot more pragmatic and calm just in general. So he was just like, we'll wait and see what happens. It'll work if it's going to work.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And what was the result? How many times did you go through this process?
Yeah, so we went through 8 cycles, which was actually spread over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And 3 different IVF clinics. So the first time we did 5 cycles, and then 10 years later we went to another clinic and did 2 more cycles. One of them was cancelled, so it wasn't really a proper cycle. And then in 2020 we went to a new clinic because I'd found a bulk billing one existed, and then we had our final attempt then. And
There's a bulk billing one.
Wow.
Okay.
Sounds unusual.
Yes.
Otherwise, is it quite expensive?
yeah, so usually it's about 10 to 13,000
Wow.
Right.
before Medicare rebates, and then there's like 4,000 to 7,000 ish. Like it will vary, and it's probably changed and I'm not sure of the exact cost today, but yeah, the bulk billing one that we found was about $1,000 as opposed to the $13,000.
Wow.
Big difference.
Yeah. Okay.
But so why did you wait so long between rounds? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, cycle or
Cycles.
around.
Cycles.
Yeah. Well, the first ones we all did fairly close together, but it's very emotionally, physically and financially.
Tumultuous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we just couldn't keep going.
Yeah, exhausting. Yeah, right. Yep. I'm wondering actually more, how did you get enough energy and impetus back after 10 years to think, we'll try this again?
Yeah, it was hard to try again, but it was also like, well, this is our only option. So my mum wanted to be a grandma, and she gave a lot of support and encouragement to try again. And so we did, because it wasn't just affecting us, it's affecting the whole family.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Of course, you can't let that factor into your own kind of emotions. You've got enough going on with the two of you, haven't you? Like,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the final one was just, I'd turned 40 and I thought, well, we can try just this one more time. I'd been seeing an acupuncturist and herbalist, and she was the one who actually told us about the bulk billing clinic and kept encouraging us to try again.
Yeah, right.
And so, well, we'll just do one more, like it's our last chance sort of.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Do you remember where you were and how you reacted when you got the news?
I was at home waiting for the phone call because it was like in the start of the first lockdown during when COVID-19 had just
Great.
wrecking the world.
Wow.
Yeah. And I already knew because I'd been doing pregnancy tests.
Right.
The home ones that you use, and seeing the line get darker each day. But there's still the worry, like, is it actually viable? Is this going to last until you get the phone call where they've checked the levels?
Okay. Okay.
And is
but
that,
that's just,
when they make that phone call, what does that actually indicate? Does that mean it's growing?
So
but
the
now
first phone call is whether you're pregnant or not.
Right.
So they say, yep, you're pregnant. Your HCG is whatever number they tell you, and your progesterone level is whatever that is.
yeah.
And HCG is?
That's the pregnancy hormones.
The point being the levels were strong.
Right.
You're pregnant. Yeah.
The force is strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
What then with your emotional tumultuousness from then on, as the time goes on, is it does it get more and more difficult the more time goes on, hoping and praying that this baby is still growing and the baby is still okay? What was happening for you?
Yeah, it was a hard time emotionally because we were finally pregnant after such a long time. I just couldn't quite believe it. So is this actually true? And then every little thing you feel is like, is this okay or not?
Yeah, right.
So, we did actually have to go a couple of times to get extra scans or things, and mostly for anxiety relief rather than worrying, the actual medical reasons. But we were quite lucky too that our obstetrician was the same as our fertility specialist, so he does both, and so he knew our story and was quite comforting. And
okay, that's great. I vomited for 9 months both times.
Why did you do it twice? That's what I want to know.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. How was it for you?
I was a bit sick originally and mostly tired and painful. I did get some bleeding along the way, which was very, very scary.
Yes.
And I had to keep getting extra progesterone supplements to take in the early months.
Okay.
I got horrible carpal tunnel.
Goodness me.
And then, heartburn, but I didn't have that would have been horrible.
Well,
Although
apparently
you'd kind of be celebrating. I finally got morning sickness. Yes. After all these years.
Celebrating.
I was like, can you complain about feeling sick because you're pregnant? Just enjoy it. But
And at what point, or was there a point that you actually started to relax and think, hey, this child is on their way?
No.
You just the whole pregnancy
Until she was born.
Yeah. And
Right
then
on
there was
edge of-
different.
Yeah.
So how big was she born?
She was born 3.05 kilograms.
Okay, that's decent.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, what a good girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was the labour and the birth? Was that
Yeah, so I didn't have a labour because I had a scheduled cesarean.
Right.
Sometimes there's a higher risk when you've had IVF, they say. So it's a more high-risk pregnancy. Not always, but they say that.
Yes. Okay.
And I was older, and the obstetrician thought that it was the safest way for our baby. And earlier on I'd had placenta previa, which is where the placenta covers the cervix. So that moved, but still had the cesarean. Yeah.
So it wasn't simple.
Quite normal. So do you remember the first moment you laid eyes on your little girl?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay.
Amazing. Fantastic.
Bumps.
So during this whole process, which went on for years, did it have some sort of effect on your actual relationship with your husband? Like, because I can imagine it would be tremendously stressful and emotional, especially for you, but for him as well. And were either of you sort of saying to the other, look, I really think we should give up now, or were you always on the same page together with it?
Yeah, it's always going to affect your relationship in some way. My husband kept reminding me that God was in control, and whether it was successful or not, God was still in control and still good. And, we weren't always on the same page, but we came to the same page and we supported each other. But God was merciful, I think, in keeping us together rather than like allowing us to drift apart.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, lots of folks listening to this will be women like your mum who are wanting to support their daughters or their daughters-in-law through IVF. Have you got some thoughts about how best a mother or a mother-in-law can do that?
By staying out of it, maybe?
Or staying in it, I'm not sure.
I guess it will depend. It would be different for everybody. You have to know the person, whether she wants you to be there asking questions or whether she would prefer just to be silent and not talk about it. Maybe it's worth asking them, do they want you to ask questions? Or as a Christian, I found it really helpful when people would pray for me. So if you are a praying person, then I think it's always encouraging to know someone's praying for you.
Yes, that's great.
With the embryo situation, so the eggs get fertilised usually outside of the body, and what happens to those fertilised eggs? Do they all get frozen? Is that how it works?
So usually they will, if they're going to try and do some genetic screening on them, they will freeze them all. If they're not doing that, they will, or you ask them not to do that, then they will choose the best embryo, 1 or 2, if they're allowing a transfer of 2, and that not all clinics will allow that, or some not for all people. It depends on the individual circumstance. So they'll transfer the embryo back to the uterus, which is a bit like having a pap smear. They just pop it in.
Right.
And then if there's more embryos, they will freeze the other embryos. If they get to the point that they are viable pregnancy, they say this will be a viable pregnancy.
How can you tell when it's just like a couple of little cells?
They can't tell completely, but they can tell ones that won't, ones that will break down or they have to meet the certain criteria before they will freeze them.
Yeah, right. And so can you use those embryos again, like, if they're frozen, you can defrost a couple and just pop them in at a later date?
So
is that how it works?
a frozen cycle will be where they either medicated or not medicated. There's different options where they will defrost the embryo and then transfer it. And lots of babies and people walking around have been frozen embryos before they're...
Right. How can you tell? You can tell someone looks a bit cold. You look like a frozen embryo. I'm sure you were frozen.
There's an
embryo.
interesting... And so could there be a situation where you're left with a number of frozen embryos but not wanting to use them? And if so, what happens to them?
So that's the big dilemma with having frozen embryos. So there is that does come up for a lot of people.
Right.
If they have lots of frozen embryos, sometimes they have had multiple transfers and they've got the number of kids that they can deal with having, and then they've got all these embryos left and they have to decide what to do with them. There's different circumstances that get to that point. But so there's options to donate for science or to another couple, and there's the other option that they have is to destroy those embryos. So we didn't feel comfortable with having frozen embryos ourselves because we believe that life begins at conception. These are little lives, and we have to. We thought that we had a responsibility to give them the best chance at life, and so my husband also was particularly concerned that what happened if I died or something happened to me, then how could he give those embryos that chance at life? And so we said, well, we'll only fertilise 1 to 2 eggs each time because we don't want to have that problem or that dilemma. Yeah, but that also meant your success goes down because they don't last, they don't grow. So in our last cycle, we actually said, well, just fertilise all the eggs. There was 10 eggs and only 6 of them fertilised. And then by the day 5, there was only 2 that were left.
Right.
And so they transferred those 2. And so my daughter could have been a twin.
Right.
But she's not because she survived and the other one didn't.
Right, okay. So that removes the dilemma for you. Yeah, so what had been your thoughts about if they all survived, all 10 of them? What were you thinking about?
You would have bought a different car.
Were you planning ahead?
Yeah, well, at that point, I knew that they wouldn't all survive unless, God suddenly decided here's 10 children.
It's like biblical times.
And if it did, we'd go back and transfer them each, giving them the chance to live. But I knew from lots of research and personal stories that they don't all make it.
Yeah.
And so really we just said, God, you're in control.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, people often say IVF is taking the control away from God, but you realise how out of control we are when you're in the middle of it.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
So many variables. Yeah. So do the frozen embryos actually have like a shelf life, so to speak? So will it be like 2 years and then they get frostburn or something, or or can they actually survive?
No,
be frozen forever?
If you have frozen embryos, you can keep paying for them to remain frozen.
Okay. Indefinitely.
And there's been stories recently of somebody who had an embryo transferred that was a year older than they were. Like the embryo was frozen the year before
25
they were born.
years or something.
Things like that.
Seriously.
Really? Wow.
I can't get my head around that. The other thought I have in my mind is if you donate your embryos to another couple, then your children could have full brothers and sisters growing up in another family. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I wonder how much
that happens. I wonder
how often that happens. Yeah.
I don't know how much it happens, but I think the other options happen a lot more because people are like, well, I can't have my children walking around out there and not knowing, lots of people I know. So they'll go for donating to science often over donating to
another couple. Okay.
What does science do with them?
Testing.
Yeah, right. Trying to improve the IVF process, perhaps.
Not giving them chance to live. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting as well.
Yeah, right.
For you and Guy, did it challenge your understanding of when life begins? Did it challenge all of those beliefs that you have about that?
It didn't really challenge our beliefs because we remained firm in the belief that life begins at conception, and so that conception's the moment the egg and the sperm are combined.
Right, yep.
We've met lots of people who have disagreeing views on that.
Yeah.
And so many people won't believe that the life's begun until embryo's implanted or even later than that. Like there's a big variety of ideas out there of when life begins.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because obviously just the fertilised egg can't survive just in that state, can it? Or can it?
No. So
I mean, if you freeze
Has
it.
to be implanted.
if you freeze it, it can survive. If you just left it in a dish, it can't.
It wouldn't
Right,
survive.
okay.
Yeah.
And was there
fascinating.
a group, so you were saying you found a group of people in similar situation that was a support group network for you. How long did you continue to stay in touch with them and how were they supportive?
So the original group started off as an online forum, and then they ended up closing that down and moving it to Facebook. So I am still Facebook friends. I'm not in the group, but I'm friends with people who were going through IVF back in 2009, 2010.
Right.
The last clinic had a Facebook group, which I'm still a part of and see posts here and there. But I've got one particular friend from that group that we still keep in touch and meet up.
Wow, okay.
Gorgeous. On your socials, you talk about M babies, and you've actually given them names. So, who are these M babies, and what do they mean to you?
Yeah, so these M babies are our embryo babies. So they're our babies that didn't get to live. As mentioned before, our daughter could have been a twin, and her transfer buddy, we call that one, is called Remy. And then we've got Dan and Chris and Jess and Jules, Ashley, Kelly, Kim, Stevie, Jordan, Jude, Terry and Riley. And we hope that one day we'll see them in heaven. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. How many is that?
That's 13
Wow.
M babies, yeah.
Wow.
Do you like a tissue?
Okay.
Wow.
I'll cry when I listen to it later.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. Like, do you do you have a specific day that you like to remember them all? Is that how you like to do it?
Well, October is the month for pregnancy and infant loss remembrance. And so that day is particularly set aside at 7:00. You could light a candle and remember your little ones that didn't make it through miscarriage or stillbirth or early embryo loss too. And so we normally light candles with the names of our embryos on them, and also for our friends that have lost their babies. And after dinner, we light the candles and just say their names to remember them.
So where does that day come from? Who started that? Don't know?
I don't know.
It just is.
I should know, but
It's Australian or it's international?
it's international. So it starts at 7 p.m. your time. You light that, and so it's like the wave of light goes
Okay.
for hours.
And it's called Wave of Light.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lovely
What
idea.
date is that?
Lovely idea.
That's it's the 15th of October.
Right. Okay, I did not know that.
So good. And gorgeous. So, do you think IVF is for everyone and anyone who can't conceive any other way, or do you think there is some people that IVF just wouldn't be right for?
I think it's not for everybody. It might not be viable physically, emotionally, financially. It's also not a guarantee that you will have a successful pregnancy. So it's a step. I think there'll be people who disagree with IVF as a treatment or just in general. Then it's not for them. And yeah, I guess society tells us that we should have kids and there's the expectation that we have to, but there is lots of opportunities being a childless or child-free couple, or even in that time when we couldn't have children and were trying, there's lots of opportunities that we could do, like staying at a night church, doing youth group, leading Bible studies at night time, caring for my mother-in-law who had Alzheimer's, that we wouldn't have been able to do if we had children. So it's not the only answer. Yeah.
Yeah, that
it's
is very
interesting,
true.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Was there ever a time then you thought, okay, look, I'm getting to the point where now I'm resigned that I'm not ever going to be a mum? And did you ever reach that point, or did you always have this little glimmer of hope? It's like, oh, just, one more cycle.
I'd like to say I got to the point where I resigned, but I guess I didn't, because we had that one more time.
Yeah.
I definitely along the way was like, well, I need to be content in whatever circumstance God has put me in, and whether one day I am or we never are, then I need to keep trusting his goodness and know that in all things he works for our good, even though I didn't understand what that good was at that time.
Yeah, of course. How did you feel? Was it very, very difficult being around friends and other people with little kids? How hard was that for you?
It was pretty hard. I mean, it was lovely at the same time, but I'd go home and I'd cry a lot. Yeah. Because you're not unhappy for them, and you want to celebrate with them, but then the grief is that it's not easy for us, and it's not.
Yeah. And with your beautiful little one now, how much of this story will you be telling her, and at what age do you think you would be telling her this?
Yeah, so she already knows that so she's seen a photo of herself as an embryo. And that photo has her transfer buddy next to her. So she knows that Remy, her transfer buddy, didn't make it, but she did. So she will try and work out age-appropriate ways as she grows up to tell her. And that's already a lot of information for a 4.5-year-old.
Yeah.
But we want to be real and we want to share where she came from and how she got here. And she knows she's a rainbow baby. They say a rainbow baby is a baby born after miscarriage or loss. So the rainbow comes after the storm.
Right.
She knows she's a rainbow baby, but the full extent of that she doesn't know. But
But she will as she gets older.
Yeah.
Gorgeous, do you think you'll have lots more kids?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I hope you're listening.
No, I would love to have more children, but unfortunately, I'm 46 years old now.
Never say never.
And most
Susan
IVF...
Sarandon had kids when she was 50. There you go.
Yes,
Most
IVF clinics won't let you transfer or even start a fresh cycle after you're 45 years old. People have donor eggs or donor embryos and then they get pregnant when they're older, but it's very, very unlikely that a woman who's in her mid-late 40s would have. Don't say never because it does happen, but it's highly unlikely. So
that your body can't physically carry.
So your eggs degrade as you get older.
Right.
Even like your body, there's more risks in the pregnancy that something will happen to the baby or, I mean, God could make a miracle, but I don't think that's going to happen right now.
Well, we'll have you back in a year and we'll check in and see how things are going.
Oh, look, imagine being 48 years old with a 2-year-old.
It's hard enough, I think, being 46 with a nearly 5-year-old.
Can't go there and
do the math.
And my husband's 5 years older than I am.
There you go. Yeah, no. Okay. Cross that off the to-do list.
Well, gorgeous. If people are listening to this or their adult kids are experiencing these similar issues to you and they're thinking about IVF, what sort of advice would you give them?
If you haven't seen a doctor or a fertility specialist, that's the place to start to get the facts.
Yeah.
I would like to stress the importance of a support system, so people who are on the same page as you to support you. Yeah, so God is the giver of a life and it makes sense to ask him to provide life. Praying yourself, getting other people to pray for you is something I think is really important. Yeah, everybody's going to be different. So in the end, it was good for me to share and talk to people and have the support from people. So I ended up doing Instagram or a blog where I would share what was happening so that people weren't always asking me. They could go and read it.
Yes. Good idea.
And I think that was the most helpful thing because they knew what was happening and they knew how they could pray, but they didn't have to keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Okay. I also think what you were saying about like preparing yourself for the emotional ups and downs, because I think you kind of feel like IVF is like a magic bullet or something and it's just going to miraculously happen every single time. But of course, that's definitely not the case, is it? So I guess you have to be resilient in that way, and that's where that support group comes in to
Indeed.
say, actually, you know, you might not happen for you at all, and to just be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Gordy.
Thank
it's been
you.
absolutely fascinating.
Thank you for sharing your heart and thoughts with us.
Yeah, and your deeply
story.
personal story.
Yeah.
And we really, really appreciate it, and we hope it helps a lot of people listening.
Thank you, Sammi.
Thanks, Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Orjai, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this ep as much as we did.
And why not join us for more insider goss and sneaky peeks on our Facebook group called, strangely enough, She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
So jump on the socials and see you next time, or rather, chat soon.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.